And other things about New Year's resolutions, well, you might think we're getting in a bit early.
Oh.
But the theme of today is about making a new start, trying things, to do things differently.
Yeah.
Now, traditionally, the new year has been an opportunity to make a New Year's resolution, to do something differently.
Yes.
Often it's associated with getting fit, breaking a bad habit like giving up smoking or drinking less.
Yeah.
But what I find absolutely fascinating is how many people make their New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
And by the end of the first week in January, if they get that far, I would say probably over half are broken.
I think that's really true of resolutions that are phrased in the I will not do X, Y, and Z anymore, so that it's phrased in the negative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But even when people say, I'll get fit, the scenario that I come across from clients most commonly is they go out on the January sales and they buy all the gear.
Yes.
They join a gym.
Yes.
They go and they have the demonstration of how to use the equipment.
Yes.
They then have their first session.
Yes.
They go at it like a bull at a gate. They can't walk for 3 weeks. And so they then think, I can't possibly go back to the gym because I hurt.
Yeah.
And then by the time they've got over it, they think, I don't want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
And so they don't go back.
Yeah.
The expensive gym equipment, attire goes into the corner of the wardrobe.
And shouts at you.
Absolutely.
You're a failure. Look how much money you spent on me and you haven't even worn me more than once.
And so what then people do is they go back to the habits that they want to break. So they're feeling bad about themselves, so they eat more.
Yeah.
Or they drink more.
Yeah.
Or they take recreational drugs. Or they go shopping. Or any combination of all of those. Or they just do nothing.
Let's face it, January is a really tough month. I mean, where we live, it's cold, it's damp,
dark.
Although the nights are, getting shorter, it's barely noticeable.
2.5 minutes a day.
Your pay packet, because of your December expenses, has to stretch so long in December.
Yes.
In January, rather. For me, it feels like a month that never ends. Yeah. I struggle. Oh my goodness, it's the slowest month of the year for me. And then once January's over, the rest of the year fast forwards on
the Christmas game.
Yes, the year's gone. But January seems to hang about. So it's a really tough time of year anyway. And then you go and land yourself with these I will not do dictates.
Yes.
So you're basically setting yourself up to trip over and fail.
Yeah. I've got a very different way of viewing life, I suppose, because every new day is the beginning of the rest of your life. Yeah. And one of the things that I'm going to suggest to people who are listening is you want to make changes in your life.
Why wait till January?
Make changes in your life. Prepare for it. It's very often a good idea to let people know what you intend and to make a public declaration, because that in some ways helps you hold you to account. But I think part of the reason why people do New Year's resolutions in the way that they do is that they feel they've overindulged over Christmas. Yes. They've eaten too much, they've drunk too much, they feel heavy, and they want to feel better feel better in themselves and feel better about themselves.
And there is a yearning for that spring, isn't there? For that new beginning. There is a yearning for it in after once all the Christmas lights are down. Yeah.
Do you know, I find it interesting that I work with a lot of business people, professionals, and they are so good at strategically planning professionally, but they don't ever seem to use the same techniques when it talks about their own personal life.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a significant change in your life, then it makes sense to be strategic about it.
Yes.
And look for the optimum time to do it.
Yes.
I think the other thing for me is how, if you're in business and you make a strategic plan and something gets in the way, you don't just give up. You actually think, okay, that's not worked. Perhaps I need to do things differently. But in our personal lives, most of us, and there are times when I have to say I do the same, it doesn't go right. So we throw the whole thing out. So let me use the example of dieting. People diet, and then they go, perhaps it's someone's birthday in the office, and they bring in a beautiful cream cake and you can't resist. So you eat the cake. Now, many people will then think, well, I've broken my diet, so I might as well go have chips for my lunch. Oh, and I've broken my diet twice now, so I might just as well have, a big piece of pie at tea time, and I'll have a glass of wine with that. And it's Wednesday, so I'll start my diet again on Monday. Now, if they did that in business, they'd fail. In businesses, okay, we've had a bit of a hiccup, let's work our way around it, and we'll do something to make sure that that hiccup doesn't impact even more so. In the diet scenario, you had a piece of cake, so actually make an accommodation the rest of the day in terms of calories.
Because I mean, for me, I hear that, and my perspective is that when you're dealing with a business, it's not so personal. It's outside of you. It's,
I think there's a lot of truth in that.
All of this. Even if it's your own business, it's sort of separate from you because of many reasons. When you're dealing with something that is about your own personal development, your own self-improvement, it's so connected to your core values and beliefs and fears that I think that is why when you're dealing with something that's personal, it seems to be so much harder to get over the tough times.
I think that that's true, but I also would add into that what you're dealing with is very habitual patterns of behaviour.
Yes.
95% of what we do is habitual. Those of you that have listened to us before will know that that's a piece of research that's been done. And for the most part, our thoughts do not cross or enter into our conscious mind. They are habitual patterns of thinking, which lead to habitual patterns of behaviour. And so when you are wanting to break a long-established pattern of behaviour, and generally speaking, the things that you make a New Year's resolution about are actually about breaking a habitual pattern, aren't they? Rather than I want to do something that's completely out of my normal pattern. Well, actually, that is another pattern, that you always do the things you've always done. And so doing something new is outside your habitual pattern, therefore unfamiliar. And so you need to pay attention to it in a way that you don't need to in your daily dealings with things.
And there's that aspect of what you focus on and what you measure is what you head towards. And I mean, I've been doing a bit of thinking and reading about laws of abundance and so on and so forth. And there was a good metaphor for how the laws of abundance work, in the sense that the universe can be likened to a very well-trained dog who is trained to go and pick up many, many different toys upon request.
But only on request.
This lady who was making this analogy had watched sort of like a Britain's Got Talent or one of the whatever country's got talent type of scenarios, and this dog had been trained so she could say, go and pick up the elephant toy, and it would go and get the elephant toy out of many hundreds that have been scattered about the stage, and the dog only got it wrong once. And the analogy was that the author wanted me to think about the laws of abundance in the same sense of the universe is like that dog. Okay, it wants to please, it wants to give you what you want. It's just standing there wagging its tail, going, "What do you want? What do you want? Tell me what you want." And if you say to it, "You're going to get me some stuff. Can you get me some stuff, please?" The dog will probably go and get you some stuff,
but not the stuff.
But it might, So if you're specific and focused with what you want, then you're more likely to get it.
I think that's true. I'd like to add two things. I think you get more of what you focus on. So if you're focusing on lack rather than abundance,
absolutely,
it very much feels as if there's more lack. Now, whether there is more lack or whether you're perceiving more lack, I'm not sure. I suspect, I've tried this myself, that the more you are grateful for what you have, the more you acknowledge what you have rather than what you don't, it appears that attracts more.
And of course, if you're always saying to yourself, I don't know, I'm always so poor, and you keep saying that phrase over and over in your head, what the universe is a little bit like don't think of an elephant
Yes.
scenario. What the universe hears is poor. So it'll give you more of that.
But I think it's obviously, that's a very simplistic way of looking at things.
Yes.
For me, what I think actually happens is you're thinking poor, so you start to make decisions with poor being your main focus. So if you're thinking rich, then you make your money work for you.
Yes.
You don't get into debt unless it's a debt for something that's going to accrue you more monies, property, things like that, education. And you don't pay compound interest.
Yeah.
You wouldn't dream of paying compound interest if you want to make your money work for you.
Yeah.
Deferred gratification is often the difference between those who are well off and those who are poor.
Yes.
Those who are well off will very often say, I'd like A, B or C, but I'll only have it when I can afford it.
Yeah, and success can be as simple as that. As saying to yourself, not, I will not have chocolate, thereby putting chocolate constantly in your head.
Yeah.
You by just swapping it on its head and saying, I will always have an apple, therefore put an apple in your head. Yeah. It can be as simple as that. But underlying that is a great body of effort and discipline.
Yes.
Isn't it?
I think for me, this is much more than willpower.
Okay.
Because I know many people who have significant amounts of willpower, but there are certain areas of their life where it falls over.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's looking at what's underpinning that.
Yes.
And often things around weight, for example, are around poor self-worth.
Yes.
I don't deserve to be pretty. Or I'm fearful of being hurt, so I will protect myself. If I'm unattractive or if I'm strong, then I can protect myself.
Or I don't deserve to be successful. Or when I'm successful, people will think that I'm a hard-nosed what's-it.
And they won't like me anymore and I'll be rejected.
Yeah, so these like demonic little self-belief whispers that we all give to ourselves as lovely little horrible presents, that we then start to layer on behaviours and habits and so on.
Absolutely. So I think that we tend to look at the symptom rather than looking at what's underpinning it and working on really getting to the core of the matter. And ultimately, if you feel good about yourself, if you really do love and respect yourself, you will treat your body well. You will treat yourself well.
Yes.
And a lot of the habits which people use no longer become necessary.
Yeah.
Because you don't need a cigarette in order to feel calm.
Yeah.
You've actually got other strategies which help you feel in control.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and have a smoke to allow yourself permission to have 5 minutes to yourself.
Yeah.
You will give yourself that gift knowing that you're going to be much more efficient and effective as a result.
Yeah.
And so, for me, strip away the things that we tend to have New Year's resolutions, or the need for New Year's resolutions, and start to look at what is it I want out of life? What's the relationship I have with me? What are the beliefs that are underpinning my relationship with money, with food, with other people? Because it's in those that you can find the answers to sustained success.
Yes.
And I'm reminded time and time again how easy it is to self-sabotage.
I think there's a sort of a slight sine wave to it as well, in that you make an intention to improve. Let's just phrase it like that. And I think that then comes a sort of a test of how strong your intention is.
Yeah.
So often you will find that it will get worse before it gets better.
Yes. I think that's
I felt
true.
that over the last week or so, that I've been setting an intention, and yet when I'm faced with doing whatever, I have a much stronger emotional reaction to the idea of being successful, of being visible or whatever.
Yes.
And then lots of little examples keep popping up. And I think, what's going on? I've set an intention to be whatever, successful in this, chosen, whatever. And now the universe is giving me lots of problems. And I do think it's a sine wave of just, it's almost like the universe is saying to you, be careful what you wish for. Are you sure? And how committed are you?
But I think that's all true. But I also think we want instantaneous.
Yeah.
I mean, patience is something that I've struggled with all my life. And I've had plenty of lessons in patience. But because we want it now, and we want it in the format that we think is right for us in that moment.
There's that great line in the follow-up to Jim Carrey's God Almighty, Bruce Almighty, where I think it's about Noah's follow-up, yes. and Noah's wife is sort of complaining to God about not having, she doesn't know it's God, not having time with the family, and God basically says to her, would God give you time with your family, or would God give you a reason to spend time with your family? Yeah. And I think that's the tough bit that you have to remember. It doesn't always turn up as you ideally want.
No. But interestingly, when you look back, hindsight's the only exact science.
Yeah.
When you look back, often things that you railed against at the time because they didn't happen quickly, and they didn't happen in the way that you wanted them.
Yeah.
Something even better turned out of
yes.
your angst and your disappointment.
Yes.
And I think, some of this is about, again, looking at the core, looking at the fundamentals, your belief about yourself, your belief about the world, and the way in which you show up. Because remember, everything's a choice, and every choice has consequences.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very easy to be in a situation where life's not fair and it's everybody else's fault, and if only this could happen, then I'd be all right. Rather than being in the moment and actually enjoying each moment for what it is. Now, if you want a piece of cream cake, have a piece of cream cake, but don't make it into the performance where you've got to feel guilty and then, I've had a piece of cream cake, so I'm going to have something else. If you want to give up smoking, well, I think it's a great idea. I think that anybody who cares about their health, giving up smoking is a no-brainer. If it's that you want to sort your wardrobes out, or you want to get a new job, or you want to change your life completely, it's your choice.
So if somebody asked you, Gina, if you were in favour of New Year's resolutions, you would say, yes, you were.
What I would say is every day is a new day. It doesn't have to be January the 1st.
No.
And if you want to change something in your life to make it even better, great. It's part of our development. It's part of our physical, mental, emotional and spiritual growth to change and to develop and to learn new things. But we as a race are resistant to change, partly because of, go back to caveman, change was a threat.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
So know you want to do it, know why you want to do it. So for me, the why becomes much more important than the what. If, you want to get healthy, then is that because you want to be around for your children, or because you want to feel healthy and vibrant and full of energy?
Yeah.
Well, if that's your why and that's strong enough, that will help you manage the journey to get there.
Yes.
The other thing I would say is most people do New Year's resolutions and they do them totally in isolation.
Right.
And so when life gets a bit tricky, they've only got their own resources to fall upon.
Right, yes.
And I would say that's where groups work so well. It's one of the reasons why we set up the Thrive Tribe, isn't it? So that people would have a group of like-minded people who are there to support you when life got tough. Because life does get tough.
Yeah.
And so, when we have our group coaching calls, you think of how often people who are, from the outside, people would say that they were strong and together, are sharing when they've had a wobble, or when things have got tough, or when there's something they don't quite know how to manage it. But out of the conversation, they go away and they have a much greater sense of getting back on track if that's necessary, or finding a way forward if it's something new.
And we are all sort of living the same human conditions, so there's a great deal of commonality. These scenarios are different, the sort of the stages that people are at, but there is always a recognition of, oh yeah, I see that problem, or I've in that problem or two myself, or yeah, I was there and this was my resolution out of it.
So I would say, if you're going to make a change in your life, do it because it's important to you, not because you think you've got to. Look at the underpinning reasons why that is important to you. And grade it out of 10. Because if it's a 2 out of 10, you're never going to do it. It's only when it gets to be a 10 out of 10, 8, 9, 10 out of 10, that you are actually going to be able to put whatever effort is required into making that shift. You've got to be prepared to be a little bit uncomfortable. And, unfamiliar is often seen as difficult. And often it's not about being difficult, it's just that it's not familiar to you. It's not your pattern, it's not your habit. And I would say to you, belong to a group. The Thrive Tribe there is there for people. If you're wanting to slim, go to a slimmers club where you will find other people who are on the same journey.
There's not just safety in numbers, there's power in it.
Absolutely. You can share advice that people can help you over the hump that you're facing, and you in turn can help them. But ultimately, you are the arbiter of the quality of your life. If you want things to be even better, well, nobody's going to do it for you. And because it's January the 1st, does not mean that there is a magic potion that makes it easier for that change to happen.
No, you could do it on February 15th if you really wanted to.
Whenever. You could choose today. Today is as good a day as any to actually think, it's now got to the point where I really want to shift this.
So what are your resolutions for whatever the next 12 months, wherever you choose to start that?
Well, one is to be kinder to myself.
Resolve to be kinder.
To give myself more time, because like yesterday, I got my day planned. The phone didn't stop ringing. It was people with all sorts of
life kept happening to you yesterday.
But actually, I think for me, the resolution, and it's an ongoing one, is to look at those hiccups, look at those things. I could have got very irritated, very cross, very stressed yesterday. And actually, my thought was, Joe, just for a couple of minutes, I can make a difference to that person's life, and I can gain pleasure from that. And the stuff that I haven't done, I will get done because it's important to me. But I can do it in a way which is kinder to myself and to other people. My resolution, I suppose, if anything, is to do my Facebook Lives on a regular basis rather than ad hoc. And we've committed to that and can hold each other to account. And it is important to me. So those of you that are listening to this, you will see whether or not I keep that resolution.
Hold us accountable.
Absolutely. But I think the other thing is to be more playful, to have more opportunities to have some fun. And although I love what I do, I think that the opportunity to make sure that I live in the moment, each moment, and enjoy it. I mean, I was up very early this morning. My sister's staying with me. She's just had an operation, and I heard her wake, so I got up to make her a cup of tea. And normally at that time of the morning, I'm not quite human, really. But I let the cat out, and the sun. There were just signs of the sun beginning to, or the light beginning to come. And I looked round and thought, I'm very lucky. And so for me, it's to even more be aware of the power of gratitude. And to do what I can to make my mission work.
I read of somebody who wrote a thank you to the year that had just gone.
I think that's a lovely thing to do.
And she phrased it as in, thank you the year 2018 for teaching me this, and she went through all the good things as well, so that she could truly practice gratitude for them. But she also practiced gratitude for some of the really tough times, and tried to search for the lessons that those were giving her too, the gifts that they were too.
That's a really great thing to do. And in every challenge there is a gift if you look. Sometimes you've got to look very hard, but there is one.
Yeah.
But of course, the other thing to be grateful for is survived.
Yes.
That sometimes you can look back and you think, blimey, how did I survive that? But I have, and out of that I've grown in resilience and strength. And that's something to be truly grateful for, because you can use that moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love to know the things that you'd like to change in your life. What would your resolutions be? And are you going to take those up on January the 1st, or are you going to take my challenge, which is to use any day is a good day to start? Do surround yourself with positive people. There are lots of people, for whatever reason, who will, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Often that's because of where they are.
I'm going to say it's about their stuff, or they don't want you to be disappointed. And I would say that if you've got a really positive group around you, that can help tremendously. And if people are interested, if you go to http // you'll find lots of help, but you'll also find information about the Thrive Tribe, and we'd love to welcome you in there if that's right for you. But whatever you do, remember that this is today is the only day that you can. The now is the only bit you can guarantee.
Yes,
and that every day is actually the beginning of the rest of your life.
Yes.
You can't change the past. Whatever has happened, there is nothing you can do to change that. But you can make the now and the future very different.
Yeah.
If you choose to.
Yeah.
And, having a resolution to make the best of every day, not just January the 1st.
Yeah.
Being grateful for what you have. I guarantee the quality of your life will improve if you just take those two intentions, those two thoughts with you on a regular basis.
And take the opportunity for symbolic sort of endings, like the time of Christmas and the move from one calendar year into the next. Take that time to actually look back over your progress over the last 12 months, because I think also when you're living in the now and you're striving, you forget where you started from, and it's only in looking back over a good long arc of time that you realise the massive steps that you probably have taken.
I was talking to a relatively new client yesterday morning, and she was talking about the things that were still not right in her life. And I said to her, we've been working together, I think this was her third session.
Right.
Can we just focus on what's different?
Yeah.
And she could list a whole range of things about how she felt more positive, how she'd actually made inroads into some of the things that she hadn't been able to tackle before, how she was speaking up more, how she was had made contact with somebody that she hadn't done for a long time, and she'd been able to make the phone call and had a lovely conversation. And I said to her, that's in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's taken you 50 years to build up all of the other stuff. Look at what you've actually achieved in 3 weeks. And now project that forward. If you carry on, working on the things that we've been talking about, how are things going to be in 3 months, in 6 months? And it doesn't have to take 50 years to put it right, does it?
No, absolutely not. No.
Because once you set the intention that you're going to take control of your life, take responsibility for your choices, and actively, mindfully think things through, things can't stay the same. They've got to improve.
No, and the acceleration of transformation can be
huge.
Quite surprising. Yes.
It's the recognising that the quality of your life is absolutely your choice. But it's your choice 365 days of the year, 366 on a leap year. It's not about waiting for January the 1st.
No, I agree. Happy New Year. any point in the year.
Absolutely. So I'd like to say a big thank you for joining us today. Love to know what you think. Please let us know what your New Year's resolutions are, or your resolutions for your new life. I'd like to call them new life resolutions, or new quality of life resolutions.
Yeah, happiness resolves.
Absolutely. Please do go and look at the website, genuinely-you.com. There is a Genuinely You app which you can access with all of the resources. You'll find all our books on the website. Thank you very much for joining us. You take care and have a lovely Christmas and a very, very happy New Year. This is Gina Gardner, your host on Passionate World Radio, saying thank you very much for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye now.